Even though Andor Season 1 has finally concluded, there are still plenty of unanswered questions and plotlines that still haven't been solved in Season 1. So here are all the different unanswered plotlines that have yet to be solved and still might be in Season 2 of Andor. The first one that is probably familiar to everyone by now is who exactly is Luthen. Throughout Season 1 of Andor, we've gotten to know much about Luthen's effort to grow the rebellion and his willingness to compromise his own morals in order to get things done. But what we've not got is what is Luthen's backstory, and this is a question that was not only asked by fans but also by the different characters within the show. Saw questions Luthen on his motivations.
What are you, Luthen? I've never really known. What are you?
I'm a coward. I'm a man who's terrified the Empire's power will grow beyond the point where we can do anything to stop it.
And judging by the simple but vague answer Luthen provides, it's pretty clear that he keeps his personal story quite close to his chest. Superintendent Young also questions Luthen about this, albeit in a slightly different way.
And what do you sacrifice?
And there are plenty of theories out there that are trying to figure out just who this man is. We've got theories that he's a Jedi, or maybe he had a relationship with a Jedi. Some say he's a Sith, and so whatever the real answer is, it's pretty clear that Season 2 of Andor is going to have to delve into it. It's an important burning question that when answered is going to give us a lot of insights into the man instrumental in the creation of the Rebel Alliance. The next question some of us might have is with Mon Mothma, specifically the arranged marriage situation between her daughter and the son of Davos Skulden, the crime boss of Chandrila. And it's a rather interesting situation, as knowing that Mon Mothma herself struggles with her own marriage as a result of this traditional custom. It brings out a big question as to whether she will really go through with it. Whether Mon Mothma is really willing to give it all for the rebellion, a decision which is now forcing her to choose between her family and the cause. It's also a question as to whether her own daughter will accept it. Even though at the moment her daughter has demonstrated a keen interest in keeping with tradition, reality can often be disappointing. Whatever idealistic notions she might have regarding this tradition might be shattered once she is forced to live in it. And I think this would be a very interesting dynamic to unpack. Should Leida begin to reject this arranged marriage, it would be another dilemma that Mon Mothma would have to face. Would she decide to force her daughter into the marriage anyway for the sake of the rebellion, or decide against it at the risk of insulting Davos Skulden and jeopardizing the fledgling rebellion? All of it is really just a fascinating thought to consider. In the closing moments of the finale, a few key characters from Ferrix all managed to get to their ship to make a hasty escape following the Imperial crackdown on the riots. It's here where Cassian tells Jezzy to take the crew to Ganji Moon, a completely new location in Star Wars. But just what exactly is on Ganji Moon? Why there out of all places? The show seems to set up the idea that the characters who all made it out could be the beginning of a rebel cell, with possibly Cassian as the leader. Much of the character archetypes and personalities do seem to align with the traditional Star Wars model of a crew. In fact, much of it actually reflects the makeup of the Ghost crew in Rebels. So I'm quite certain that we will get to see more of them in Season 2. But just what exactly will they do next, and what exactly is waiting for them on Ganji Moon? Well, these are all questions that have yet to be answered. Another lesser plotline but no less important is the rivalry between Blevin and Dedra. As we've seen throughout Season 1, the rivalry between the two is unmistakable, with Dedra supposedly getting the last laugh by Episode 7. And for the most part, it seems as though their rivalry was done and dusted. But the season finale seemed to suggest otherwise, and Blevin was reintroduced as a crucial character to the plot, at least where Mon Mothma and the ISB is concerned. Which really just opens up the possibility for a rematch between Dedra and Blevin, especially with the fiasco that just occurred on Ferrix, possibly giving Blevin an opening to attack Dedra for her inability to handle the situation and to give himself the opportunity to reclaim authority on Ferrix. Not to mention the fact that a relationship between Dedra and Syril is now on the table, working or otherwise, there are plenty of possibilities for him to find a weakness to exploit. Whatever the case it may be, Blevin's involvement with monitoring Mon Mothma ensures that the rivalry between the two is far from over. I think Season 1 overall has given us a taste for the Imperial politics to come, leaving us fans wondering what will happen going into Season 2. One thing for sure is that this matter is far from over. Perhaps the biggest unsolved plotline of the show is where is Cassian's sister? During the opening episodes of the season, we were introduced to the fact that Cassian had a sister, someone who he was unable to connect with following the incident with the Republic on Kenari. Now, much like everyone else, Marva assumed that everyone left on Kenari must have been wiped out by the Republic, following the death of the Republic officer, telling Cassian to give up on his mission to find his long-lost sister.
And just one more thing, just stop searching for your sister. It's a fantasy. There were no survivors on Kenari. What happened there was not your responsibility. You were a child.
And for the most part, Season 1 sort of just left it there. Besides the one time Cassian tried to find his sister on Morlana 1, the question of her whereabouts was left somewhat untouched, never to be revisited until a brief mention by Marva in Episode 7. And while Marva's explanation does seem highly plausible and that Cassian's sister probably didn't survive following the events on Kenari, it's still a question that lingers at the back of your mind, especially given that Cassian was closely following the lead of a Kenari woman, something that was confirmed back in Episode 1.
There was a girl from Kenari, but she left several months ago.
This girl from Kenari. Any idea where she went? I'm looking for my sister.
So really, I do hope that they follow up on this plotline in Season 2 instead of leaving it here. Closely linked to Cassian's sister's fate is what exactly happened on Kenari. When the second episode dropped, there was a huge buzz about the apparent Republic ship that crashed on the planet, revealing that the crew on board were wearing uniforms with Separatist symbols, causing many people to question why Republic officers were wearing Separatist uniforms. And there were a whole bunch of theories floating online, and some of the biggest ones included a secret Republic weapons project, using Separatist uniforms as a part of a cover-up or a way to frame the Separatists. Not to mention the complete absence of adults on Kenari, the abandoned mine. It really is such a fascinating world with a ton of implied backstory that is just waiting to be explored. But for the most part, the show did leave it there. Besides the flashbacks in episode 2 and 3, we really don't get much else from the show. We did, however, get a brief comment from Zan, who points out that Kenari was abandoned following an Imperial mining disaster, which supposedly killed everyone on the planet. And since then, Kenari has been a restricted zone, with no one allowed in according to Imperial decree, which raises a whole bunch of questions as to what really occurred. Knowing that when it comes to cover-ups, the Imperial standard operating procedure is to simply label it as a mining disaster, it does make us question as to what was the true nature of the situation. This was the same exact reason given to the situation on Jedha following the Empire's decision to level the entire city in order to test out the Death Star in Rogue One. So just what exactly or what sort of atrocities did the Empire commit to warrant such a strict ruling on Kenari? For what reason could there be for the eradication of Cassian's people and the complete isolation of that system? And what's up with the yellow smoke when the ship was crashing onto the planet's surface? Why are Marva, Clem, and Bee even on the ship in the first place? There are so many unanswered questions to the story behind Kenari that it probably is the biggest unfinished plotline of the entire show. Just how exactly does it play into Cassian's story moving forward into Season 2 is one that I really look forward to and really hope that they don't just simply forget all about it. The potential for good storytelling here is really just limitless. Anyways, those are all the unanswered, unresolved plotlines from Season 1 of Andor. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did I miss any other plotlines, and what do you guys think will happen next? As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. I am the Lost Acolyte,
and I have spoken.